siya si Adonis, isang taong adik na adik at matakaw sa mga luho at bisyo ng buhay. Pagkain, pornografiya, drugs. Dito umiikot ang kanyang buhay. At tila di na siya makabitaw sa mga luhong ito. Kung may humihingi ng pagkain, abay, itataboy lamang niya ito. Ito naman si Richie. Isa siyang may milyonaryo at kolektor ng mga mamahaling sasakyan. Ipinanganak siya sa isang mayamang pamilya, ngunit ni piso ay hindi siya makapagbigay sa mga mahihirap. Ang kanyang dahilan? Nagpakahirap naman daw siya sa pagpaparami ng mga kayamanan. Kaya ang mga pulubi ay salot lamang ng lipunan. Siya naman si Father Arrogante. Matalino, maraming nakamtang degree sa universidad. May otoridad sa pananalita. Subalit, kadalasan ay hindi siya makapagtimpi. Ayaw niyang nalalamangan ang kanyang otoridad. Ang mga mayayaman at matataas sa lipunan ay kanyang sinusuyo. Ngunit ang may hirap ay balewala lang sa kanya. Ito ang mga tatlong iba-ibang tao. Tatlong iba-ibang buhay, tatlong luho at di makontentong pagnanais. Habang nasa puso nila ang hangaring magpakasarap, magpakayaman at magpakataas, lalo lang maghahangad ng mas marami pa. Kaya ang turo sa kanila ng buhay ay ito. Mamamatay din kayo.
Ecclesiastes, or the Book of Preacher, is an Old Testament book of wisdom literature that belongs to the third section of the biblical canon, known as the Ketuvim, or writings. In the Hebrew Bible, Ecclesiastes stands between the Song of Solomon and Lamentations, and with them belongs to the Megillot, 5 scrolls that are read at various festivals of the Jewish religious year. The common Christian English translations follow the Septuagint in placing Ecclesiastes between Proverbs and the Song of Solomon, an order reflecting the old tradition that Solomon wrote all three. The actual author of Ecclesiastes is unknown, but description in the first chapter and also in its first verse attributes the book to Kohelet. commonly translated as preacher again, or in Greek, Ecclesiastes. It is defined as the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Though these words can only refer to Solomon between mid-10th century BC, the frequency of Aramaic forms and the book's rationalistic contents dated sometime about the second half of the 3rd century BC. According to rabbinic tradition, Ecclesiastes was written by King Solomon in his old age. There is also an alternative tradition that Hezekiah and his colleagues wrote Isaiah, Proverbs, the Song of Songs, and Ecclesiastes. It probably means simply that the book was edited under Hezekiah. But critical scholars have long rejected the idea of pre-exilic origin. According to Christian tradition, the book was probably written by another Solomon. Gregory of Nyssa wrote that it was written by another Solomon. Didymus the Blind wrote that it was probably written by several authors. The presence of Persian loanwords and numerous Aramaisms points to a date no earlier than about 450 BCE. While the latest possible date, according to those claims, for its composition is 180 BCE, when the Jewish writer Ben Sira quotes from it. The dispute as to whether Ecclesiastes belongs to the Persian or the Hellenistic periods, like for example the earlier or later part of this period, revolves around the degree of Hellenization, means that there is an influence of Greek culture and thought, and it is also present in the book. Scholars arguing for a Persian date around 450 to 330 BCE hold that there is a complete lack of Greek influence. Those who argue for a Hellenistic date around 330 to 180 BCE argue that it shows internal evidence of Greek thought and social setting.
The book of Ecclesiastes, traditionally attributed to King Solomon, explores profound existential themes that resonate throughout human experience. Its central theme revolves around the concept of vanity or meaninglessness in earthly pursuits. Solomon reflects on the futility of human endeavors, highlighting the transience of life and the inevitability of death. This contemplation extends to a critique of the pursuit of wealth, pleasure, and knowledge, a source of ultimate satisfaction, emphasizing their insufficiency in providing lasting meaning. Ecclesiastes also delves into the cyclical nature of life, where generations come and go and events repeat themselves. This cyclicality contributes to the book's overarching message of the unpredictable and often perplexing nature of existence. The text urges readers to embrace a humble acknowledgement of their limitations while recognizing a divine order and that transcends human understanding. Time is another prominent theme in Ecclesiastes, portraying it as both structure and elusive. The book encourages individuals to appreciate the present moment, recognizing the Creator's authority over time. Despite the apparent existential despair, Ecclesiastes concludes with a call to fear God and keep His commandments, suggesting the true meaning is profound to the reverential relationship with the divine, offering purpose and fulfillment beyond the ephemeral nature of worldly pursuits. Furthermore, the book of Ecclesiastes grapples with the inherent injustices and uncertainties of life. Solomon observes that righteous individuals often face adversity while the wicked may prosper, challenging conventional notions of divine justice. This exploration of life's iniquities contributes to the overall theme of the book, prompting a deeper reflecting on the mysterious ways of God and the limitations of human understanding. The narrative style of Ecclesiastes is characterized by a first-person perspective. Personal reflection and rhetorical questions adds a unique dimension to its themes. Solomon's introspective musing create a powerful and relatable account of the human experience, inviting readers to contemplate their own lives in the light of book's wisdom. In essence, Ecclesiastes encompasses a profound philosophical and theological exploration of human existence. It encourages a nuanced understanding of life's complexities, acknowledging the tensions between the fleeting nature of worldly pursuits and enduring significance found in the relationship with the divine. The themes of vanity, time, justice, and limitations of human wisdom collectively contribute to Ecclesiastes' enduring relevance as a timeless exploration of the human condition.
Let me share with you the message of the book of Ecclesiastes. All things are vanity. The most famous and most mysterious lines of the book are stated at the outset. Vanity of vanities, says Kohelet. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Unfortunately, the traditional use of the English word vanity can be very misleading, since we tend to associate this word with disordered self-love or over-attention to one's appearance. The Hebrew word translated as vanity is hebel, which literally means vapor, mist, breath. Kohelet announces that he made it a life quest to acquire wisdom about life, but that in the end, he was frustrated, finding it all to be vain. Solomon sets out to pursue three common human goals, three pursuits to which many men devote their entire lives. First is pleasure or joy. In Hebrew, it's simha. Second is wisdom. In Hebrew, it's chokmah. The third is toil or labor. In Hebrew, amal, for possessions. Solomon finds all three approaches to life to be hebel, or meaningless, because all men die, and whatever temporary goods they gain, whether pleasures, knowledge, or accomplishments, is ultimately for naught, for it all passes away. Moreover, there are two frustrating aspects of reality that Kohelet encountered during his threefold pursuit of meaning in life. The first is the cyclical monotony of time, and the second, the scandal of injustice. Next, Kohelet, who is then recognized by the audience as Solomon, turns his attention to the themes of loneliness and companionship. Loneliness is indeed very vain, but friendship is not. For Kohelet, friendship is one of the few aspects of human life that Ecclesiastes does not dismiss as hebel. Solomon offers a good deal of practical advice in the form of proverbs, followed by reflections on the evils of life, such as sudden loss of fortune and the inability to enjoy one's accomplishments in life. The best one can do in life is to enjoy as much as possible the simple pleasures of day-to-day living and avoid thinking about the future, because the inevitability of death means there is no advantage of the wise man over the fool. This also is vanity and striving after wind. The author now shifts focus and transitions from the vanity or ephemerality of human life to the ignorance of human beings, what later philosophy would refer to as the limits of human reason. The major theological issue with the book of Ecclesiastes is how to reconcile its skeptical and pessimistic worldview with a faith-filled perspective more typical of biblical literature. Why is there a tension? Well, Kohelet attempts to find the meaning of life by applying wisdom or reason to all that exists under the sun, a phrase repeated 28 times in the course of the book. This phrase refers to what one calls in philosophical terms the empirical, phenomenal world, that is the world of appearances and experience, but not ultimate realities. Beyond the sun would be the abode of the divine, and Kohelet does not or cannot extend his thoughts that far. his perspective is strictly limited to what is under the sun. When he applies his reason to the visible world, Kohelet's attempt to discover meaning is frustrated by 5 realities. First, the cyclical monotony of time. Human events seem to repeat themselves in patterns without substantive progress. Second, the unsatisfying nature of all pleasure. Pleasures are momentary and bring no lasting happiness. Third, social injustice. Violations of the moral order are absurd and apparently without just retribution. Fourth, the incomprehensibility of life. Life does not yield its meaning easily to pure reason. And lastly, death. All of the goods of this life, including life itself, ultimately come to an end. These 5 realities are all interrelated, and the greatest of them is death. Death puts an end to personal progress and restarts the cyclical monotony. It puts an end to pleasures, strikes down both good and bad without regard to justice, and thus Kohelet returns constantly to the problem of death and ends his meditations with a beautiful, if somewhat morbid, poem on aging and the end of life.
Although not quite as prominent or as widely regarded as other wisdom books, Ecclesiastes is actually a book that's rich in catechetical value. It has several engaging discussions on perennial concepts. Now I say catechetical value mainly because it can aid several readers who are struggling with coming to terms on certain problems that a person may face at different points in life. The content of this book appeals to a certain demographic. This is not a book that's as flowery as the Song of Songs or as instructional as the Book of Wisdom. The book of Ecclesiastes paints a bleak picture of the human condition and the many pains that come with living. To be honest, one could say that this book was, in some ways, existential in nature. Hence, this book could be for people who fall into the following categories. First, atheists or agnostics who are looking for theological insights from a much more rational or realistic perspective. This book might just be the perfect book to begin one's foray into the stories of the Bible. It is neither overly optimistic, nor does it blindly suggest an adherence to a supreme being as a solution to all of life's difficulties. It instead tries to wrestle more with the hardships that come with being human. Now, the second category of people which fall into the people who could appreciate Ecclesiastes are people who are generally sick and dying, and they may find that this book is a somber reminder of the beautiful inevitability of death or the ceaseless marching of time. The book takes care not to sugarcoat its lessons on death and sickness. And thirdly, people who are experiencing an existential crisis. This era is known to be an era of internal conflict and crises. And that being said, this book provides an objective view of the value of life. It does not hope to provide needless optimism, nor does it cast a wave of despair. It is, quite frankly, a reminder that crises are also an inevitable obstacle in life. But although life can at times seem to be utterly meaningless, there is wisdom in pursuing things which are, so to speak, not of this life, but of the hereafter. Furthermore, although it is true that the book is referenced in the lectionary very rarely, select passages from the book of Ecclesiastes are used to great extent in an appropriate liturgical celebration. For instance, Ecclesiastes 3:1-15 is used as a reading in funeral masses. It serves as a consolation for the bereaved and the surviving relatives of the deceased and the deceased members of the family. A passage from Ecclesiastes is also used as a preface to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 13-21, which basically completes the message of ceasing to pursue meaningless things, not because life in itself is without meaning, but because material things are merely an illusion when put beside things that can be gained by following God. And likewise, Ecclesiastes 9, verses 7-10 is a timely reading that can be used in communal celebrations and gatherings, highlighting the importance of celebrating without worrying for what the future holds. Because the only real certainty is that death awaits on the figurative morrow. All in all, the book of Ecclesiastes has a place both in and outside of liturgy. The book is inherently filled to the brim with profound insights that shall prove to be helpful to the modern day reader and their modern day needs.